Should I look at you or the camera or.
Just me is fine. We're just having a conversation.
It honestly feels like one of those old World Series games. You know, the ones where 10,000 people would claim to have been in attendance, but there were only 2,000 seats. Everyone wants a piece of this. Everyone wants to claim that they were there when it happened. Most of them were liars. There were only 8 of us there when it happened. The 7 of us who witnessed it, and, of course, him.
I never thought that anything would come of it. It was just a dumb joke between friends. If you'd told me that it would cause the chaos it has, I don't think I'd ever have believed it if I hadn't watched it happen.
My name is Will Tavis, and I am Divine Will.
Every newly formed religion follows the same basic outline of events. Every single time, the first thing that happens to the new religion is it encounters resistance from whatever organization has power. And just look at history. For Catholicism, it was the Romans. For Islam, it was the merchant class of Mecca. For Anglicans, it was the Catholic Church. For Scientology, it was rational people. For Willianism, though, it was the societal expectation of what religion could be.
Why do so many people think they know what happened at the revelation?
Because they think the event is the important part, rather than prioritizing the message.
For those who don't know, what happened?
Well, we were sitting outside Reggio 9, a classroom at Creighton University. It's what we call the Holy Land. Someone had asked me what I thought about religions, so I told them. I used to consider myself an atheist. Then I realized that everyone believes in something. That something is what should bring you happiness and a sense of meaning in your life, you know. For some people, that's God. For others, it's something else. For me, that something is knowing that there's no such thing as fate or destiny. I am in control of my own life. Therefore, it is like I am my own God.
And what was going through your head when Will said that?
I thought it was a joke. That's who Will is. He's a troll. I mean, this is the man who thinks that the second best Star Wars movie is the memes and the third best is the Lego video game.
I knew that something very special had just happened. You could feel it in the air around you. Something had changed.
How did those present for the revelation react?
It was kind of funny at first. In the following days, they would bow to me or throw me a sign of the will. For about a week, it was just joking around with friends, though I think John took it seriously from the start.
I had found my calling.
When a religion is in its infancy, it can be destroyed very easily. If it wants to survive, there has to be a moment of realization or recognition. For Willianism, that moment came during the spring of 2019 with a classical mechanics final.
It was during the classical mechanics final that it went from being a joke to being something real.
You have to understand, this is the first time that his followers prayed to him as a group.
It was during that final when I remembered an episode of John Oliver's Last Week Tonight where he makes his own church. As soon as the test was over, I pulled up Nebraska laws about religions and tax exemptions on my phone.
What did you find? The Nebraska Internal Revenue Code 091.01 helped make Willianism what it is today. Nebraska Tax Code 091.01 states that nonprofit organizations created exclusively for religious purposes are exempt from payment of the Nebraska sales or use tax after the organization has applied for and received a Nebraska Exempt Organization Certificate of Exemption from the Nebraska Department of Revenue. How did it feel to find that piece of law?
Why is this a thing? They have the word exempt in there 2 goddamn times.
Whoever read that shit was really going for the fucking redundant award of redundancy.
When Kelsey shared her findings with you all, what did you do?
We decided to follow John Oliver's advice and create our own religion.
Why?
I couldn't think of a better platform from which to spread the message of Willinism.
Honestly, I just wanted to see if we could get away with it at this point.
Tax-free booze, mate. Tax-free booze.
Following a religion's moment of recognition, its various members begin to develop its traditions and beliefs.
Thanks to Kelsey, we knew what we had to do to become official. Once a week, we would all gather in the Holy Land and hear him preach.
My devoted followers, take from me now these lessons that I've learned on my travels. A pocket bagel can save your life. Chili is by no means a seasonal food. And the fourth law of thermodynamics is that thermo never made any goddamn sense. Now, my good followers, repeat after me the creed of me. Always present, often sought, never reached. I have a twin, exactly the same, but perfectly different. With me, you can find your way home, but you will never go the right way, for I am left.
We would also gather in our homes in the evenings, where he would grace us with stories about his time on Earth.
Hello, gamers. I'm glad so many of you managed to make it today. Today, I will be telling the story of why I joined Crew. For those new members of Willinism among us, for 8 years of my life, from freshman year of high school to the end of my first senior year in college, I was a member of stage crew at my respective educational institutions. During that time, I worked over 30 performances and had many experiences that made me into the person I am today. When I first made the decision to join Crew, I was still living through the shared trauma of the 8th grade. This was after my first revelation, but before my first proclamation at the Holy Land. You see, the decision came about because of a story my brother told me about his first experience working at stage crew. See, my brother, to say he's antisocial is a very polite way of saying that he has no friends and doesn't like talking to people, but he was pressured into joining a production as part of stage crew by a member of his section and band. Before we continue, we need to mention the fact that the show my brother agreed to work was fucking South Pacific, which is objectively a garbage fucking musical. Like, I don't fucking understand why anybody likes that fucking pile of ass masquerading as a crypt. Is the fucking story good? No. Is the music good? No. Bali Ha is one of the worst fucking songs I've ever heard. Is the acting good? No. It was fucking performed at a fucking high school. The only fucking reason it's not the worst fucking musical I've ever fucking seen is 1959's Saint Ascension, which is a fucking musical about a coma ward, which had its fucking grand opening at a fucking community college and is also 3 hours long. Anyway, back to the story. The reason my brother's experience working crew made me want to join it myself was what happened backstage. So you see, in a theater there's something called the fly and the fly rail. The fly is a pulley system that allows you to bring curtains and such in and out of stage from above. And the fly rail is where you operate these pulleys. And in our high school, the fly rail was about 15, 20 feet off the ground, and was worked by 2 crew members during every performance. So during South Pacific, there was 2 seniors working fly, and so it was their last performance because at our high school, the musical was always the final show of the year. And so they decided to have some fun with their final performance of high school. And using the vast knowledge of prop construction that they gained from working technical theater, they decided to make a giant foam penis out of insulation foam, and then would strip down to their underwear and dance along to the actors on stage, and also give each other fellatio using the giant foam penis. So, due to how our theater was built, if you sat all the way up next to the stage, audience right, you could see up onto the fly rail because the fly rail was over on stage right. And so, during one of the performances of South Pacific, an audience member did happen to catch sight of these 2 heroes up on the fly rail and complained to our theater department, which then caused the school to demand a public apology from the 2 crew members, and only one of them showed up. Anyhow, this whole thing sounded like a time and a half, so I joined crew when I got to high school. And you may be asking, what is the point? What is the message of the story? Have no fear. I will tell you. It's that GMOs are perfectly safe and can be used to revolutionize nutrition around the world by giving people access to vital nutrients they would not otherwise have access to.
After a while, we began to form our core beliefs.
Created the totally brand safe Will Tavis tetrahedron of excellence. Art is subjective and defined by the artist, but their intent is unimportant. A little goes a long way is bullshit advice when it comes to spicing food. James Cameron's fourth Avatar movie, the Blue People ones, will be the apotheosis of film. And most importantly, fuck guilty pleasures. Find what makes you happy in life. Find it and hold on to it. But for fuck's sake, don't be an asshole about it. Just because it makes you happy doesn't mean it'll make anybody else happy. Unless, of course, you're talking about the Fast and Furious movies, which are the greatest things ever made by man.
Then all we had to do was make it a nonprofit. It took us a while, but we found the necessary documentation. We had to check with our lawyer first, AJ Weimer, but eventually we were able to fill it out and send it to the Nebraska government.
How did it feel to find the nonprofit forms?
All I could think about was, why was this so easy? Why was it that we were the ones that found this? Seriously, had no one thought of this before?
We waited a few short weeks, and then it came.
As I said, there is always the same pattern of events when a new religion is created. First, there's the resistance. Then there's the moment of recognition. Then there are the developments of traditions and beliefs. The last event in the pattern is the spread.
You know, we're not entirely sure how it got out. Maybe someone had overheard us talking about it or something along those lines, and they leaked it to the media. I'd like to think that it was one of his miracles.
Willinism has gone international. While its growing worldwide membership cannot enjoy the alcoholic tax benefits that can be found exclusively in the United States, its message of, quote, finding happiness in one's life, but not being a dick about it and thinking that your happiness can or will make anyone else happy, is a message that can be understood across all languages.
I just know that he changed all of our lives.